everybody, so today we are here for our Pluto in the second house. I know this is a bit of an awkward angle, but I'm trying to get the best light. So to start, a refresher for our Pluto series, we have Pluto, which is the death and the rebirth cycle, that transformation, the literal or metaphorical death. It is things that are taboo, our deeper sexuality, not necessarily the more light expression like Mars. It is things that we feel intense and passionate about, our investigative nature, where we may feel a bit paranoid, or where we may have power struggles with people or within ourselves. And then for the second house, very basically, we have our income, our finances. In a bit more of an abstract term, we have our resources, our stability. And this shows what we value. Not just material things, but it can be material things, but what aspects of life do we value? Like, do we value our freedom? Do we value this? Do we value that? How do we value ourselves? This is the house of self-esteem. This is not the only thing that deals with self-esteem, but this is the house of our self-esteem. And it also deals with the neck, the throat, that area, because we're talking about Taurus, and our sexuality as well. Not so deep like the 8th, but more physical like a Taurus. So for our celebrities, we have Bill Gates. He is the 4th richest man in the world. He makes sense for this video. We have Steven Spielberg, Sasha Grey, and our honorary celebrity, Mr. Krabs. I thought he fit into this perfectly. So when we take the two basics and we put them together of Pluto in the second house, you have an extremity with money, but this can go a lot of different ways. You are so enticed by the almighty dollar, and you're almost fascinated with it. Like, it dazzles you, and it stirs something up deep within you in our subconscious. That's, I forgot to mention, that's part of Pluto too, where you can become sort of obsessed. You are dazzled by money, and of all types. Like, you can be a penny pincher where you like to coupon and save a couple cents, and you could be, so you're dazzled in that way, but you can also be dazzled by bigger sums of money. And that is because when we're bringing in the stability, you feel more stable when you do have money. And this is somewhat logical. So let's just say, like, your car breaks down, or your phone breaks, or I don't know, you spill coffee on your work shoes and now you need to go buy a new pair of work shoes, something like that. You feel safer in this world when you have that cushion, so you can draw on that and fix things easily. You don't want to ever be in a position, especially with displacement, where you say like, oh, I run into this problem and I don't have it. And so you always try to have it. This could be a person who shoves money in different places. It could be under the bed, it could be in bank accounts, it could be in investment accounts, it could be in a top drawer somewhere. You always have like little stashes of money here and there, and it's kind of just like a pillow in a sense to you, a padding for your life that makes you feel better. And nobody really knows how much that you have, because you can be very secretive and very guarded with it. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that you feel that you need to have. It brings you a sense of peace. And I would say, if you're not a second house native of any kind, because second house, no matter what planet, there's some similarities. I feel it's such a straightforward house. Non-second house natives don't understand how somebody gets to save $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000, and it's $1 at a time. But you guys do understand that, and that's why you can, even just regular unassuming people can really be sitting on top of a lot of money. They may be regular dressing, or have like an older car, or they just may look unassuming. They're not like flamboyantly rich, not all the time. But they are usually, if you have this, you are sitting on a huge sum of money that you are just like the scorpion tail. You got it in your grasp and you hold on to it just in case. But it's never really just in case with you guys, because you never really want to let it go. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You just realize the importance and the power of money in this physical manifestation that we live in. And so again, I think everyone with this placement is not going to be rich or not going to have that $30,000, but it's just a mindset towards money that you carry through your life. So maybe like you're a mom and you know, you're not rich, maybe you're even a stay-at-home mom and you don't have much income, but you can be an extreme couponer, or you know, somebody who just looks for deals. Stuff like that is a manifestation of displacement. Doesn't necessarily guarantee wealth. I've seen people living in poverty that have this. So it can go both ways. Or the opposite end, the extremity with money, you may be a spendy Sally. You may really like to spend because your Pluto is like, it's like it's being scratched, like an itch that's being scratched when you save, but also when you spend, because not only do you want the sums of money to make you feel like you have a padding in this life, but you also want material things a lot of times because they make you feel safer. So my mom has this, and she has like all these little gadgets, like the choppers, like fruit choppers, or you know, a battery charger, stuff like that. You have this mindset like, if I just, second house and Taurus energy has a mindset where it's like, I want to have things just in case I may ever need them. And a lot of times you don't really need them. You can do with a lot less, but you like to feel like you have it. So if you don't have the money, you like to have material things. They can be odd material things. This can result in somebody like, I just keep thinking of the show Extreme Couponers. You go in their basement and they have like maybe some cans of tuna, but they've got it forever. And you just got like bottles of water or toilet paper. These are definitely people who ran out and stocked up during quarantine. Which brings me to my next point, a little bit of hoarding you guys can do. You guys are definitely the type that will have storage units, lots of online shopping carts. Maybe you have a bunch of Amazon packages constantly being delivered to your house. It's that kind of energy. It's strange. It's a simultaneous not wanting to let go of money, but also wanting to buy things, which obviously you have to exchange money. So it can manifest differently in different people. You can have both at different times. Everybody's got that thing where it's like they're very cheap in one way, but they splurge a lot in another way. The Mr. Krabs archetype of, you know, wanting to save, buying multiples of things that you probably only need one of, having things that are still in the box never used is a big thing that I've noticed with people with Pluto in the second, and just like Taurus energy in general. The more you have, the better you feel. That is just a second house Taurus theme. It just is. But Pluto is always here to test you. So the whole point of this is to see, how do you feel when you don't have this money? And this can happen in two ways. Either you can be born into poverty, which I've seen, or you may have a lot and something happens to it. Maybe your house burns down, or you have to spend it all. Maybe someone steals it from you, or you lose it in a lawsuit or a divorce or something like that. How do you feel? And here's where we get to the self-esteem part. Pluto is trying to teach you that you don't need it. Yes, material things are very nice, and we do have to contend with money in this world and providing for ourselves. That's why there is an entire house dedicated to it, but you don't need it. And you kind of do, but at times you're going to be without it, and you're going to have to make do with a lot less than what you're used to. And the key here is to maintain that level of self-respect and self-esteem. You are just as valuable, you're just as worthy if you have 50,000 in the bank or if you had 10. It's for you to learn that your value doesn't change no matter what your financial circumstance is or the material things that you own. So this could be learning that, hey, I can't afford a brick, and that doesn't make me any less stylish or any less valuable, or my house is not in a certain zip code, but that doesn't make it any less homey, or it still does the same things. And that's for you to really let that sink in. Buying things that are maybe generic or store brand, couponing, saving things for longer, buying less things, less gadgets. Using one thing in multiple different ways teaches you to be creative. So it's stuff like that. But as you in your lifetime learn that, and you probably have to go through a couple ups and downs with it, you can call on like cultural stereotypes, like when a kid will say, "Hey mom, drop me off a couple blocks from the school because the car may not be that his mom is driving is not as nice as the other cars that the other moms are driving." So those kind of things is about seeing the value in the action and not in the thing. But at the end of the day, you guys have a really keen eye for finding a deal. So whether things are going good for you and you want to keep things going in that trajectory, or things are going bad and you're just trying to make this most efficient financial decisions that you can, as long as you keep your eyes out for good deals, that is a skill that you have that really helps make life easier in that way. You're very resourceful. If you do find that you're getting overwhelmed with the amount of things that you have, or just with your relationship to shopping and spending, I would first say stop shopping. Maybe delete some apps, and then I would go through some of the stuff you have. Go through your storage units, go through your basements, your attics, your room, your closets, things where people shove things, and ask yourself, do I really need this thing? Do I really use it? If you haven't used it in the past year, it's a general rule that you probably should throw it out. You could donate it, you could sell it, but to be okay with the release of material things is a huge lesson for you guys. And once you master that, you'll maintain so much inner peace, because Pluto will come in and take it and let you build it back up, and maybe take it again, knock it down, give you some more. And you should be okay. The goal is for you to be okay with what you have, and at times with what you don't have, and to still enjoy life and enjoy yourself. Overall, you are looking for stability. And so you may enter into partnerships or deals that provide you that. And this is not necessarily like a gold digger placement, but you do seek out stability for money. So you may take certain jobs that pay you a lot, even if they may not necessarily align with your values. Maybe you don't want to work 60 hours a week, but this job is asking that for you, but it pays. The fact that it pays is what's going to be the thing that pushes it over the edge and makes it worthwhile for you. People that may date people that are very wealthy, or athletes, or famous, or something like that, it just makes sense to you, even though if you're not a second house Taurus type of person, you may look at that like, you just want that person for the money. But for you, it just makes sense to do things that would provide you stability, that would increase your financial standing, or not detract from it, at least. So it's like, why wouldn't I date somebody with a lot of money, or why wouldn't I go for this thing? Because it provides that stability that everybody wants, but you want it a little bit more. And I think that there's nothing really wrong with that. It is logical and it makes sense, as long as you, again, are valuing yourself and the other person as well, not just for their money. I think it's not the worst logic in the world. And anything that does come between you and your money, it has to go very quickly. You are very quick to cut things off and cut people off that make you feel like it might mess with your finances, might mess with your job. You have that scorpion ability to just like cut it off and shut it out, because you're intensely focused on this, and so nothing can detract from that. So touching on Bill Gates for a second, I said you have the ability to spot a good deal, even though you may look unassuming. Even though he is the fourth richest man in the world, if you look at how he carries himself and how he dresses, it's usually not a lot of name brand, it's not a lot of Gucci. He's very like an unassuming guy. If you didn't know Bill Gates and you've seen him in a bookstore, you might just look kind of regular, and that I feel like he symbolizes this placement very well. I think now he did come from money and got a lot of, what should I say, great financial opportunities in his life, but what he's done with that and how he's been able to snowball it into being in the position where he is today, I think is due to his innate skill and his innate talent to think about money and how it goes and how it can work for him. Things that I think you guys would do well at putting your energy toward. I already mentioned couponing several times. Researching maybe online some financial strategies or communities that give financial advice. I'm a part of a couple. Minimalism is one of them. They have a whole minimalism side of YouTube or certain channels like Our Rich Journey where they talk about investing. I think investing in the stock market is something that you guys would be great at because it requires a lot of research, which you guys like to dig. You like to dig for the deals, dig through the stocks, the ETFs, the history, stuff like that. You really like to dig and research and make sure that where you're putting your little sack of money is in a good place. So I think the stock market for you guys would really be amazing. And because you never want to let it go, and you know, the stock market is a long-term thing, I think that's just where you guys will shine. I would always advise people to watch out for crypto. Don't try to get in any scams or any, quick get rich quick schemes. I would stay away from those. The lesson here too is to keep our intensity and our obsession in line with our values and in line with, and while still maintaining the value that we have for ourselves, to be ethical, to keep your morals as you deal with this intense desire for money and for things. So making sure that you're valuing yourself, making sure you're valuing others, being ethical in your business dealings, not being manipulative, trying to cheat or steal in any way, because Pluto sees you and she'll just take it back. So as long as you keep those things in line, at the forefront of your mind as you're dealing with money, then I think you'll be good. So like I said, also the second house is about what you value, and then you have whatever planet is there, you value things relating to that planet. So Pluto is here. So we value the darker side of life. We value intensity. We value investigation. We value our sexuality. I seen Sasha Grey is here. She has this placement. Like I said, she's a porn star. We value the presence of sexuality in our lives, and we want to make room for that. And I think there's a lot of different ways to do that. Obviously, you don't have to be a porn star, but maybe you like to visit adult, shops. I would say having adult toys is probably a big thing, that buying of things that is relating to sexuality. You probably have a collection of those. I think that's a very, obvious manifestation of this placement. Or maybe, you're into taking a pole dancing class or something of a gothic, darker nature. Maybe you have a obsession with scary movies. A friend of mine, I don't know if she has Pluto in a second, but she has like a scary movie podcast where like you want to make space for Pluto. You kind of want to clear away and let her express those darker things. You value that a lot. Leaving room for that and not trying to suppress that is another way that Pluto manifests in our lives that doesn't necessarily relate to money. Like I said, the need to investigate. I feel like you guys doing puzzles, maybe even just like watching murder mysteries. I think that would be a really big thing for you guys. Internet sleuthing, I always say, doing some kind of research, something where you're digging, maybe even you're physically digging, but something where you're digging to find, I think is something that utilizes this placement in a powerful way. Maybe you are working with money. You could be maybe like a tax lawyer, stuff with that, digging to find deductions. Just little things that are popping into my mind that I think is a good outlet for Pluto, because Pluto needs that release, that outlet. If you are not a scorpionic person and you're finding it hard to kind of release this energy or deal with it or know how to channel it, I would just check in with yourself periodically and ask yourself, like, who are you? What do you like? What are you interested in, and why? And make space for that in your life. Whatever it is that you do value, make sure that it is coming from a genuine place that is rooted in high self-esteem and not necessarily related to the material. Relating back to self-esteem, so when we are in our childhood and we have Pluto here, we may feel that how our Pluto is doing, how our second house is doing, is what I should say, affects how we feel about ourselves. So it could be that you were very rich growing up and maybe you feel like, okay, well, if I don't have this, will people still want to be my friend? Will they still want to come over to my house if my house wasn't as nice, or if I didn't have this new video game system? But I think more commonly, you know, if you have Pluto in the second house, it could be that you are very poor and you may have just felt like less valuable because of that. When Pluto knocks us down, because it will, do we still hold our dignity? Does our self-esteem waver? Does it change? Does it go up and down like our bank account does? We still have respect and hold value for ourselves, even if we don't have anything. And the answer, if the answer is no, then you should work on going to therapy and finding a way to keep that, because that is truly immovable. Our innate talents, whether we be funny, whether we draw, whether we do whatever, are free and they're given to us and they can't be taken away. And that is the way that we truly value ourselves when we're looking at Pluto in a self-esteem aspect, not what we have or what we didn't have. A homeless man is no more or less deserving of respect than a friend or a pastor or somebody who's close to us. It's the same level of respect for each human, no matter what's in their bank account. And I really want you guys to just meditate on that and think about that and do what you have to do to make it into so that you actually believe that. And I think there will be so much peace that overcomes you when you release your need to cling on to the material, because it really isn't ours to cling on to anyway. So the final 3 lessons, just to recap, the real lesson is to rejoice in what you already have and know that you are so valuable already. Your innate talent is what makes you valuable, not the money. You can lose anything at any moment, and that's why you shouldn't cling on to it. Things can be given and things can be taken away. Maintaining peace throughout that process is paramount. And last but not least, like I said, you guys have a really innate talent for spotting good deals and making smart financial moves. And if you can calm the obsession while using the innate talent that you do have, I think you can set a life for yourself that is very stable, and you probably have a really good financial resource, really good financial sense that you can share with those around you to make everyone's life more stable, because we do need money in this incarnation. So anyway, you guys, that was Pluto in the second. I really like this one. I am going through this transit right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So please drop down in the comments. Tell me what you think, what I got right, what I got wrong, and your experience with it. And I will see you for the last video in our Pluto series, which is Pluto in the first.